Well, she's a local children's author on a mission to inspire kids to unplug. Carla Crane Osborne draws from her Idaho farm roots to spark imagination, and she joins us here to share her story and more about the stories that she's writing. So great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
Carla, I love the fact that you grew up in Idaho.
I did.
You are from Burley. So how did that inspire some of the stories that you tell?
I grew up on a farm outside of Burley, and it was a magical, I just loved growing up. And my family made it just, we were so involved with everything, and so I wanted to share that experience. I wanted to share it with others, and so I thought, well, I can, after my children get a little older, I can capture that in my books.
I love that. I love the sense of community that you're already kind of sharing just in that little bit of your story so far, right? I feel like these generations where we're at now, we're becoming disconnected because we're so reliant on technology, and having that connection with each other is just so important. So I'm so glad that you're focusing on that. So your stories, they encourage kids to reconnect with simple joy. Explain that.
The stories are all about Go Gonna Go. That was my nickname, and she gets into mischief, but it's always good mischief. And she goes out and she tries to explore, and it's actually the things that I did growing up when I was young.
Oh, no kidding.
And I felt like, okay, so when I'm writing these books, I think of someone that's maybe in an apartment in New York, and they don't have any kind of experience that way.
Exactly.
So I want to share that with them. I want to be able to share them how simple things bring great pleasures, and you can work that with your family and through wherever you're at. You can just find those simple pleasures in life, and you don't always need to be connected.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, and you're speaking of the whole connection, not only in the stories that you're writing, but you're taking these stories of connection and connecting with students in person.
Yes.
And you throw events too at your ranch. So tell us about your story times, all the school visits that you do.
So we try to visit as many schools throughout the areas as we can. We've been all over the state of Idaho, which I really love. We got to go to Paramount, and we got to visit with different grades. And I read to them, and I interact, and I tell them about growing up on the farm, and I talk to them about what they can do to create magic in their own lives. And I tell them, when you read a story, you go places that you can't go anywhere else. And so you don't have to leave your room. You just pick up a book and read. And I love sharing that with the children. And they get so excited, and they talk about the characters. And then I talk to them also about the process of how I write the book, and encourage them, start now. Start writing down those stories that you have in your mind. And they come up to me and they say, oh, we have these great stories, and I'm writing a story too. And so I say, send them to me. Let me know. Send those stories to me, because that's what I want. I want them to create magic, and they do that through their imagination.
Yeah, through the imagination and the written word.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
You're holding a book here really quick before we wrap.
Yes.
I'm seeing some symbols on here. It looks like a finalist for the American, is that Legacy?
Legacy, and then also the Benjamin Franklin Award. And we are very, very privileged, because all of our books have been awarded books or awarded prizes, and we're so grateful for that. But this is the very first book that I wrote, and they're all about my childhood, like I said.
Under the Barnyard
Under
Light.
the Barnyard Light.
Where do we go so we can follow you on your tours and access your books?
gonasreadingranch.com, and you can find everything there. I even read to children online.
Oh, marvelous, Carla.
Yes.
I love what you were doing.
Thank
you. I cannot wait for more books to come from you, and maybe even more books to come from the students that you're inspiring.
Yes.
Everyone, stick around. We have more to come right here on Idaho Today, right after the break. Lovely. I love your selection here.